Today's live is going to be with Mayank Nagori, who's a food and beverage consultant. And here he is. Great. Thank God. Hi,
Sorry for the
welcome.
trouble. Hi.
No, that's okay. So tell us a little about what you do as a food consultant, Mayank.
So essentially, if you walk into a supermarket, you're always intrigued about the products that are there, but you don't know how they reach there, right? So uh, we are the people behind the food process, the food engineering, how things are to be processed to get the
Mm.
correct shelf life. So what we do in the kitchen is primary, but what we do post that kitchen to give it that shelf life, to give it that additional,
Uh,
texture and taste profile that comes
okay.
under food processing, and that's where my expertise lies in. So I basically
Oh,
help companies develop products and upscale their process, etc.
okay. That's so interesting. And I think it gives you a lot of insight into what we're going to talk about today,
Yeah.
which is processed food and reading labels. So, what about front of package, Mayank? Can you talk a little about that? Why is it the way it is, and what is the thought process behind that usually?
So FSSAI is product
Your audio is breaking.
uh, basically can make claims on the front of pack. So essentially, when you're walking into the supermarket, the first thing that you see is the front of pack, and
Yeah.
how these companies can allure you to buy the product,
Yeah.
saying multigrain, low in fat, low in sugar, etc. These are the sort of claims that appear on the front of pack. Now there is FSSAI, which is the governing body, which is actually laid down principles saying, say example would be if you want to call your product rich in protein, you need to have a minimum of 8 grams or 20 grams of protein per serve of that product, right? So that is for you to claim rich in protein. But what these companies would do is say high in protein or source of protein, basically make wordplay so that once the consumer sees the product, they automatically have it in their mind saying, okay, if they see protein on the front of pack, they think this product has high protein and they pick it up, right? So that's the sort of wordplay that companies do to kind of navigate around the guidelines that FSSAI has put up to put these false claims on the front of pack. But if you ever observe these claims which are on the front of pack, never or very rarely coincide with the actual nutritional profile of the product when you see the back of pack.
Also, I guess the colors, and especially for food for children, all the cartoon characters, and maybe keeping it at their eye level, I suppose those are marketing ploys also.
Absolutely. So if you see the European Union and Mexico, because of the obesity on the rise, and basically the cereal products like Kellogg's, etc., they are highly processed and highly sugary. So these countries and these unions have passed laws which say that you cannot have cartoon characters as mascots because you are trying to get kids' attention. So these guys need to now have a minimalist packaging so that kids do not make a choice, but the parents have to make a choice whether to buy that product or not for their kids, right? So those are the kind of advancements on the front of pack that we can see abroad, but India is way behind, and as the population is so high, the number of brands are so high, the ruling authority, the FSSAI, can do only little to kind of cover and encompass all the products that come out in the market. So which is why consumers need to know what to believe and what not to believe, and that's where like I keep talking about knowing how to decode labels, knowing how to understand what label terminology means, right? So that's yeah.
So what you're saying is the front of pack can sometimes be fiction, and the facts will be on the back of the pack.
Absolutely. So a clear example would be the recent times Kurkure. So if you see Kurkure on the top of the front of pack, it says now with gingerly oil, and gingerly oil is basically sesame oil. So for a normal consumer, what would they understand? Thinking, okay, now Kurkure is made with sesame oil, right? Like only sesame oil. But when you see the back of pack, the oil blend is still a blend of 93% palm oil and 7% gingerly oil, right? So, but these guys make a claim on the front of pack saying now with gingerly oil, and and the layman just fools himself to understand that maybe that this is completely made with ginger oil. So that's one simple example, and there are a whole list to it.
So what do you look for on the back of the pack actually?
So what I would look at the back of the pack is first the ingredient list. When you read the ingredient list, the first ingredient that appears is the ingredient that is present in the highest quantity. So the ingredients list is basically supposed to be mentioned in a format where the order of the products is in descending order of their existence in the product. So when you see Cadbury Dairy Milk, the first ingredient would be sugar. So, like more than calling it a chocolate, you're supposed to call it sugar. So that's one thing I clearly look for in the ingredients. See if the ingredients are easily readable. Like you shouldn't have any product which have very large names which you can't pronounce. So that's basically a thumb rule. Second would be, what if these companies have mentioned the nutritional profile per 100 grams of the product, or if they've mentioned per serve of the product, and see what is the serving size that they have mentioned. So an example again would be a packet of Oreo. Per se, for us might be that okay, a couple of people can finish the whole packet. But what
Yeah.
is the company intending for that product to be consumed as, right? A single packet of Oreo, probably with respect to Cadbury or Mondelez, could be 4 people or 4 servings, right? But we confuse it to be meant for just 2 people or even one person to have. So we need to kind of understand what is the serving size and what is the amount that we are consuming, and not look at the ingredient, not look at the nutritional label at the 100-gram perspective.
That can be a little confusing, one, because the nutritional table will be in such tiny font. And then in some foods, it's per 100 grams. In some foods, it's per serving. So it's a little confusing. So if you're looking at the nutritional table, what exactly would you be looking for to, think that this food is safe for you?
So at first for processed food, mainly the things that matter is the sugar content, the salt
Yeah.
content. For the fried stuff, it's the salt content. For the sugary stuff, it is the sugar content. Again, for the chips, your trans fat comes into play. So how I look at the product is, you see the RDA percentage. So RDA is basically the required daily allowance that is given from the FSSAI. So when we see a product, what is the percentage of RDA that is fulfilled with that just one product is how I try to understand. So for example, it would be again an energy bar, or say a bar of 5 star. Now when we see the RDA percentage, you can see that the RDA of sugar with just one 5 star is about 50%. So that means that I have consumed 50% of my daily allowance of sugar with just that one 5 star, right? So that's one easy format of understanding how much you are consuming, and how much is the guideline that is set aside by the Nutritional Authority of India. So I understand for laymen that it might be difficult for people to understand the protein, etc., the terminology, but just looking at the RDA percentage would be really easy as a thumb rule to understand nutritional labels.
But that RD, I don't think would be applicable for children, I suppose. No, I think it's only for adults.
Yes, for adults. For children, I mean, again, the products which are meant for children, the RDAs are mentioned as per children. And for the
Okay.
products that are meant for adults, the RDA is mentioned as per adults.
But like you said, for 5 star, I think it's RDA is for adults.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So that's why when you give 5 star to small kids, they always have a sugar high and they're going to be restless for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know. Right. So what you're saying is in the nutritional information, you have to just look for sugar and maybe like absence of trans fats or no added sugar. That is
Yeah.
the
So,
important
so
information.
again, looking at it as per, like what are your goals, right? So for a few people, they want to avoid cholesterol. For a few people, they want to avoid sugar basis of their current health scenario. So picking up on those products or on those nutritional profiles particularly, and for the layman, look for products which are high in protein, low in salt, low in sugar. So these three things can I kind of encompass a healthy product.
Okay.
Again, most of the healthy products, the example would be again, if a product contains a lot of medicinal herbs, right? So at the expense of containing those medicinal herbs, these companies use a lot of sugars to mask the taste. So again, that has to come from common thinking that okay, what if or why is this product so sugary? So if you ever see syrups by Baidyanath, they are super sugary because they have to mask the bitter taste of the herbs.
Correct. Yeah,
And
I didn't think of syrups. Yeah, right.
yeah, and another massive claim that companies make these days is no added sugar. Now, for again a layman, no added sugar means that this product contains no sugar at all. But in plain sight, it clearly means that this does not contain any added refined sugar. So this product
Okay.
may still contain jaggery, it may still contain fruit, it may still contain dates as a sweetener. It just does not contain sugar, like refined sugar. But for our stomachs, the jaggery, the date, all of these sweeteners are one and the same. It's just for our brain and for our eyes that all of these different sweeteners are perceived to be different, but it does the same thing to our body.
Correct. So, are there any other avatars that sugar is masked under, not just recognizable jaggery, dates, honey,
So
any
the
other
major
chemical
the
names?
major product now that people use is FGOS, which is fructooligosaccharides. So it's basically added fiber. So what happens is it actually comes under the plethora of fiber. Now companies claim that their products have added fiber, which is good for you, and that product again does the work of a sweetener. So a lot of these healthy fruit juices now contain FGOS because it adds a body to the product, it makes it thicker. And again, a lot of energy bars, a lot of granola companies tend to utilize loads of dates, loads of honey, just to not have the word sugar. But dates are as harmful as sugar. If not, I
Right.
mean, I wouldn't say as harmful, but if sugar is 100%, dates stand at 95%. And most of these products out there, these organic energy bars, the basis of those products is dates. And again, we clearly need to just understand with respect to carbohydrates, look at the RDA percentage and see that what is the amount of carbohydrate that I consume with just that one snack bar.
Okay. So some ingredient lists go on, and like read like something from a chemistry textbook with preservatives and additives and all that. So is there something, some preservative additive, if present, you wouldn't touch that product with a barge pole even, Mayank? Is there something like that?
Again, it depends completely about personal choices. So like sulfites, for example, sulfites appear in a lot of dried fruits, in wine, in a lot more products to prevent discoloration, etc. Now, sulfites can cause asthma in some sensitive people, but that does not mean it causes asthma in everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So only with trial and error is when we can understand what is suitable for us, what is not suitable for us. That is why even allergens, when we say peanut allergy, dairy allergy, unless and until you try and see a reaction to your body, you wouldn't understand. But again, coming from the background of being a food processing engineer, I wouldn't say all preservatives are bad. Preservatives were discovered or were intended to utilize in a product to add some certain quality or some sort of shelf life to the product, but again it needs to be used in under the guidelines. So all I could say is trust the bigger companies with respect to their preservatives because they're doing it in a cleaner fashion, and I wouldn't trust smaller companies which utilize preservatives in their product because their understanding or their capacity would not justify that they're using those preservatives in the right format or not.
Okay. So there's nothing like a standard guideline you can tell us that if this particular chemical is there, please don't use,
So
don't
the
eat.
point being, preservatives are licensed by the government, considering considering people from all different health backgrounds, from different age backgrounds, and being suitable for them, right? So they do tests over thousands and lakhs of people. There might be a couple of people who are sensitive to that chemical, but that does not mean that they slam down that preservative on basis of just those two people. So if you're amongst those two people, only if you try you would understand. Because uh, again, I'm putting my profession at stake when I say preservatives are bad. Because preservatives are not bad. Preservatives are good when used up to a certain extent.
Okay. All
Otherwise, you
right.
wouldn't have yummy spreads like Nutella. You wouldn't have tasty biscuits like Oreo. Like that. These products have been imbibed in our lifestyle in such a format that we cannot live without it. No.
Yeah, I saw something about Nutella that, there's so much sugar in that.
Yeah.
I saw
Again,
it.
sugar and palm oil. The first product, the first ingredient
Yeah.
would be palm oil, and the second would be sugar, and the third comes the hazelnuts.
Yeah. Why is it that every food we like or a child likes is, so high sugar and absolutely harmful for the system?
Because that is how the human brain is, right? Like fried food, sugar, they kind of trigger a few parts of the brain, and those parts of the brain, kind of release some sort of hormones which make you crave for those products more often. So that's
Mm.
what sugar does. That's why midnight cravings also become a habit when done consistently. Because again, you're making your brain release endorphins. Basically, for a few people, consuming sugar is in some form de-stressing or in some form rewarding for their body because their brain is releasing that sort of endorphins. So,
Yeah.
I would say sugar is as addictive as cigarettes, as alcohol, and kids of this generation have been, exposed to such sugary products with the television commercials so often that, like India is on a trajectory to be the highest diabetes population, the highest obese population, the highest people with the number of heart issues going forward. So it can only come with education for kids that can be imbibed from their parents and from their school, so that kids can make a calculated choice. Uh, like uh, even I consumed a lot of sugary products when I was a kid, but now when I understand what detrimental effects it can have to my health, I can make a calculated choice and probably cheat with one sugary product once in a while, right? So that can come only with education. That cannot come with kind of boycotting or any of that sort. So so there's a lot to it. I mean, we can go on for hours and hours about these sort of processing red
Yeah.
meat.
So what is scary is I believe this generation of children have the highest percentage of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and a lot of them are on transplant lists now at
Yes.
this very young age. So it is extremely scary. So all this talk about nutrition and the ingredients. How easy is it for a mother with little children, maybe a whining toddler, to just read? Is there something like index online that is created where she can just go and see and make an informed decision? Is there something like that?
Nothing as such. I mean, I am on the verge of building something like that because
That would be
it's
really
again that's a
wonderful.
huge problem solving way, right? But for now, all I could say is just have thumb rules. Look at the ingredient list. Look at the nutritional label, and never or like I never believe front of pack. Like I pick a product up and I just reverse it and see the products. What are the ingredients on the back of pack? Like never go. Like my one thumb rule would be never judge the product looking at its front of pack. If you can start doing that, then all the questions will follow, and once the questions follow, the solutions to those questions will follow. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always keep speaking on my reels as well that if you have any doubts with respect to understanding some terminology, I'm just a call away, and like I can definitely help you. But that can happen only once you start flipping the product and see the back of it.
I know. So we have to be literate. That's what you
Yes.
mean.
Yes.
So the FSAI is the regulatory body. What about our neighborhood bakeries, mithai shops, hot chips? Who regulates those foods?
Again, as long as they are packaged, as long as they are claiming a shelf life, FSSAI is kind of governing them. But like I mentioned, the number of brands, the number of bakeries, the number of chip shops around India are so many that FSSAI can't handpick and actually analyze every product and get tests done for them. Right? Even the
Correct.
biggest of companies can pull off a huge scam, calling it organic and calling it all sorts
Mm.
of healthy. And I would still recommend, just having a conversation with your neighborhood chip shop and understanding what sort of oil he uses, or what is the content of salt he is utilizing. And I would say those products are still close to nature than buying some chips that are coming all the way from Thailand. I would still buy some chips which are fried right at the corner of my street, if I am sure about the sort of oil that he is utilizing, right? So I'm a big, I vouch for, I really vouch for eating local, right? So I mean, if I'm eating local, I am giving business to a lot of vendors around me, a lot of fruit and vegetable vendors, fresh produce, etc. Than picking up products that come all the way from outside of the country. So that's one thumb rule again would be, trust your neighborhood shop, and if you can't trust them, at least question them, see if they have answers to it, try to educate them as well.
That makes a lot of sense. So you were talking about label literacy in schools and for children. So how would you put across label literacy to say to a group of 10-year-olds who are all bent on picking up their favorite snack? What would you tell them?
I would say I would probably make a list of ingredients and tell them that, like, basically call those ingredients as enemies, right? And every single time they see one of these ingredients on their product, that's one enemy that they are going to look forward to when they're eating it. And if they see more of those, like, kind of create a comic satire to it, and for them to understand that they're actually going to fight a battle with somebody, and these are going to be worms in your stomach, right? And to probably imbibe that. So I mean, that would be one playful way of putting it out to the kids, right? But obviously, again, would be like a list of 10, 15 things that commonly appear in products that could be bad to a certain extent. But again, it can't be kids who pick the products up. It has to be the parents that educate their kids, and parents who pick up products for their kids, because what kids eat in their childhood is what they're going to continue to eat.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to a lot of my friends, and they still have an addiction to Bonvita and Boost, because we've been grown up drinking milk with Bonvita, and
Yeah.
it's gotten to such a point that we only resonate with the taste of milk to be the taste of Bonvita, and we can't still have plain milk by itself, because we were so addicted to the sugary, the malty taste of Bonvita. So that's one example that I think 70% of the Indian population would resonate with me. If my parents wouldn't have fed me Bonvita since my childhood, I wouldn't have been consuming Bonvita now. So like you see, kids, parents don't feed coffee and tea to their kids because they are habit forming. The same way they can avoid their kids from having refined sugar, from having refined flour products to a certain extent. They will grow up and understand if they still need those products in their life or not.
So this generation of parents are actually pretty aware.
Yeah,
So until the age of 1 year, the exposure to sugar is almost none or minimal. It's
yeah.
when, they start going to school and see other children. So when I meet children when they're about 2 or 3 year olds, then the parents always say, no, he has such a passion for junk food and, things like that. So I think, like you said, educating parents is super important. But if you've seen older kids and the shops that they haunt, they're generally buying those little packets of Lay's chips and, all those other kinds of things, which is why I think even children having some label literacy is important. Are you doing any work in that direction, Maya?
I mean, for me, I haven't really, connected with a lot of people who are looking to work in this direction, because it can't be just one person looking to do
Yeah.
something on this front. There has to be like a communion of people, trying to educate, more like a non-profit of sorts, where we can, like, start from the root cause, and do as many as possible sort of live camps, or online sessions, or even physical sessions for people to understand. But as for now, I'm just, trying my bit with doing Instagram reels, and trying and hoping for people to reshare it as much as possible. But I kind of understood that Instagram is not for people who want to come learn something new. Right now, Instagram's algorithm is only about
Yeah.
fancy slash dumb sort of content. So you could see like a decline in my content creation as well. So it has to be something more solid, something more, something where people actually, pay a price to come understand, because until and unless something is free, people will not value it. Until and unless something is paid for, people will not value it. Even if it's a small value, even if it's about a 15, 20 rupees, people will buy it, people would come, see the session, understand something of it.
Are you planning something like that? Because I would sign up in a heartbeat.
Could be, like, sure. Why not? We definitely. I mean, there are a lot of people who are interested, and like
Yeah.
the kind of community I have built over the time. Uh, you wouldn't see like I have a lot of massive number of followers, likes and reshares on my reels, but the number of people who see it actually, come back to me and talk to me about the products that they ditched because of what I spoke. So that kind of gives me
Yeah.
an additional motivation to, keep working in that direction.
Correct. I think I've reached the end of my questions, Mayank. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with, like in your years as a food consultant? Is there some thought or value you feel you need to share with us?
So first thing, I mean, the only thing would be a lot of people think processed food is bad. I'd say not all processed food is bad. A calculated purchase, a calculated pickup from a supermarket of processed food is great, right? People want convenience. Convenience can come with processed food only. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of, would you want convenience or would you want to live a completely sattvic slash organic life where you can avoid processed food. So just try to educate yourself, because I'm sure that you eat at least one processed food with every meal of yours, starting from the morning until the evening. So it's only a fact that you educate yourself to understand what is good, what is not, and not call all processed food bad. Because a world without processed food would be a really boring world.
Okay. So those are your words of wisdom, and it was very insightful talking.